Okay, Mary.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's webinar. The most questions I have ever received is about quarterly reporting and the infamous membership list known as the spreadsheets. I lived in that world for 2 years as second VP, and I understand how confusing at times reporting can be. With Jane and Francine leading the conversation, tonight's webinar should help take the mystery out of reporting. As the Constitution of the United States guides the nation, so does the DWCF bylaws guide us, and no one knows them better than Vivian Light Johnson. We could not be in better hands. I want to thank our webinar team and Chair Jessica Ransom for all the work they put into keeping us up to date and prepared for the challenges we encounter as Democratic women. And Jessica, I am now turning the program over to you.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. The webinar today is a topic that all of us at some point may have had a question about, and we're hoping that at the end of this presentation, questions will be answered and people will be familiar and comfortable with the reporting and the bylaws. So just logistically speaking, there will be a question and answer period at the end, but remember, you cannot use the chat feature. We ask you to use the question feature. So when you put in a question at the end, after our speakers are finished, you will have an opportunity to go through each question and answer those questions at the end of the event, but it will stay in the system. We will have your question. Don't worry, it won't get lost, and we'll do our best to cover all the questions at the very end. So I would like to take 1 minute to thank the training committee who's here, and we would like for you to know that we look forward to putting these together and trying to get the information that you need as a member of the club or leader in the organization to address issues. So please send us information if you have some ideas or anything that you need for us to cover. So I'm going to start with introducing Jane Slutchwig, who has been a member of the DWCF since 2018 and has held multiple leadership positions. Jane is the current third vice president of the DWCF, and she serves on the training committee. She is the former region chair for Region 12, and she has held positions as the second VP and correspondence secretary of the DWCF Marco Club. Now, I must apologize because we also have Francine Julius Edwards, and Francine, my bio I had for you is the old one, and Francine has had, she's moved around a little bit, but I apologize in advance because I don't have the current one for you, and so I'm not going to stumble through and mess it up, but you are now, Francine is now the second VP of the DWCF, and first VP of the DWCF, and she brings with her experience in the organization. She's had multiple roles, and officially I would like to apologize in advance for not having it accurate. Then Vivian Light Johnson, she's the third person. She has had a remarkable journey marked by her deep involvement in various political and community roles. In 2021, Monica Reedus appointed her as bylaws chair, a role she later resumed under the leadership of President Mary Forte Namouge. Notably, she dedicated 4 years to presiding as president of the DWCF West Orange County, showcasing her commitment to fostering democratic ideals at the grassroots level. Currently, Vivian serves as the treasurer of the West Orange, assuming a pivotal role in managing financial matters. She's an integral part of the DWCF Grassroots Committee, contributing to the development and execution of initiatives aimed at strengthening the Democratic Foundation. Additionally, her role as the FDP Rules Committee underscores her influence in shaping the party's operational framework. Her role as the state committee woman for Orange County DEC underscores her involvement in shaping the democratic landscape at the county level. Vivian's expertise in parliamentary procedure gained from her service as a parliamentarian for local sorority chapters and nonprofit organizations further exemplifies her commitment to effective and organized decision-making. So the DWCF Training Committee is proud again to have these three wonderful speakers talk to us tonight. First up, I would like to turn it over to Jane.
Thank you, Jessica. Let me get my PowerPoint up and running. Can you see that? No. I have to share my screen. Hold on. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, Jane, it's up.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. So, yes, so we're going to talk tonight about the President's Quarterly Report, how you can fill it out online. I noticed that today I got one that was filled out from the handbook. We would rather them come through the online. Why it's important for you to fill out the quarterly report and how to correctly file the roster. The quarterly reports are used to track individual club progress, track the progress of all the clubs statewide, and it allows us to share ideas with the clubs across the state. Be sure to meet your report deadlines by consulting the President's to-do list that's emailed to you periodically. You'll find these also on the new DWCF.org website. If you're not already registered on the website, you'll have to do that so that you can file your report. You'll have to go to DWCF.org in your browser and register and log in. You'll have to put your email address in, select a password, and make sure you save your password so that you'll be able to get back in when you go back to file your report. After you've registered, you'll receive a confirmation email from the DWCF congratulating you and that now you're approved to access the website. Once you've got that settled and to make your report, you'll have to log back in, scroll down to the page and open up the quick link section that's right here in the middle of this orange place here. Once you click on that, you will get this page, and you want to click on Quarterly President's Report. This is where you begin your report. You'll select your region, you put in your email, the month or quarter that you're doing it in, and the club name. And then you'll fill in the part about active full lifetime associate, honorary, and student members. Francine, do you want to go over this part with them?
Yes, of course, we are looking to make sure that we have registered or on the roster all of our active members, and we want to count them accurately. So it's so important that both the president and the second vice president make sure that those Excel spreadsheets, those rosters, are correct so that we can make sure that we contact and we keep in touch with each and every member. Next. Life membership. Life membership, of course, as it says, is bestowed on any member of the DWCF in good standings who, by virtue of statewide leadership and capability, has proven dedication to the principles and aims of the organization. They will have their voting rights, and they can be counted with the membership on the basis of making sure that we add them to the roster for the state convention, and they can be delegates. Life members can be countywide and statewide. So we really want to make sure that our dedicated members who have been with us for quite some time and who bestow those great honors are taken care of as far as life membership. Associate members in good standing are members that lived in one county, but they have moved to another county, but they still want to make sure, or it could be vice versa. A lifetime associate member is a member who can belong to two different counties, but they stay registered as an active member in one. So associate member, let's see, is restricted to hold an active membership in another club. Yeah, I said that right. They may not be counted with the membership, but they are added as delegates at the end of the, for one county at the end of when we get ready to get delegates for our convention. Honorary members. Honorary members are bestowed on a Democrat. They could be one of your county or city Democrats that are legislators. They can be community leaders that have shown not just an interest, but a love for our organization. They have no voting rights and they can't serve as an officer, but they can be used on the basis of delegates for the state convention. And no dues are paid on honorary members. Student members, which is what I'm hoping that we definitely cultivate going forward. Student members are 18 and over. They're a registered voter who's 18 and over, and they will be attending an accredited college, university, or high school with a valid student ID. Local clubs may submit state dues of $5 or region dues of $1 received on behalf of student members. Each local club should determine how many or how much of local dues that a student member must pay, but we're hoping that they are active members and that we urge them to be leaders.
So after you complete the members part of the report, you'll add the additional information like your club's website, or if you have a Facebook address, if there was a region meeting the last quarter, if you've attended that, and then there'll be this part where you can share your ideas with your club activities, everything that you've done in the last 3 months of the quarter. And you'll be able to upload your photos, your articles, anything that you submitted to the newsletter so that they can be archived by the historian. Then you'll, like I said, list the fundraisers, programs, and activities, share your ideas, what you're doing about getting out the vote, encouraging vote by mail, what you're doing to support your local and state candidates. And there's this place right here where you can browse your files to upload things to the DWCF website. We just recently added this part to our reporting. We're asking if you've collected water petitions, the abortion petition, if you've done any voter registration or gotten people signed up for vote by mail. We'd like to know so that we can track the progress of each club across the state, so that, you know, we can show people like the FDP that we're actually doing the work, you know, for them. Francine, if you'd like to talk about the roster now.
Yes, the Excel spreadsheet or the membership roster. As we said earlier, this is so important to make sure that we know who our members are and make sure that we have accurate information. When you submit your membership roster, please, please, please make sure that it is current and that it is accurate. As my short stint as second vice, I received Excel spreadsheets that were not they were not in a uniform package that I've had to straighten out. I've had one county only sent me their new members. They did not send me the entire Excel spreadsheet. Some sent the spreadsheet, but there were columns missing. Some Excel spreadsheet I had to hunt for Excel spreadsheets from different clubs. It's just so important because we want to make sure that we have people that are on our roster and would have access to the website so that they can be active. Next slide. We want to make sure that it has the region at the beginning. If you can see the column, the region number, the club name, and make sure you don't just put DWCF or DWC MC. You need to say what the club or the county name is to make sure that we have it right. What the number, how many, make sure that you list 1, 2, 3, 4, how many people that are in your club under the number column, their last name, first name, email address, city, zip code. And then if you have, phone number, membership page. I don't know what that membership page.
The membership, like if they're active.
Oh, that they're active or if they're honorary or if they're student, right?
Right.
And then their membership and then their member title, if they are, especially if they're officers. It's so important to have that information. If you have say a secretary resigned and you voted in or the president appointed and had voted in a new secretary, we need to make sure that we have that update so that we can contact them if needed regarding anything. But it is so important to make sure that Excel spreadsheet is correct and it's filled out correctly and in that order so that it's easy for the second vice, who will be our Barbara Grimm, to take the Excel spreadsheet and put it into our big roster, and so that our president has the important information to send out to everyone that is listed. As it says, once you save the Excel spreadsheet to your computer, then add it in the order that Jane was talking about under browsing files. Okay, Jane.
So once you do that and you have your report complete and you hit submit, your report will go to me as third vice president. It goes to Mary Forte-Namouche as the president. It will go to Barbara Baker Grimm when she's voted in as the second VP, and to the archivist Cora Lumpkin. So to prepare your report, please review the following. Be prompt and observe all deadlines for the report. Provide your contact information, such as email, address, phone, etc. Identify the number and the types of members. Give a brief review of your club's key activities for the quarter being reported on. Upload any pictures and articles to our newsletter that would be at dwcfnewsletters@gmail.com. Have an accurate, up-to-date membership list to attach to your report in the proper formatting, and consult your region chair if you have any questions about any of these items. If you need any help with this PowerPoint or any questions, you can also contact me at js363@me.com. Thank you.
Jessica?
I guess we're moving on to Vivian.
Vivian?
Yes, ma'am. Let me share my screen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Jessica and the training committee, for asking me to participate in this important workshop. It is coming at a very good time because all of the club bylaws should have been in by now. So this is a great time for those who did not get their bylaws in to get the information they need to have them in. So we're going to talk about why do we have rules. Oh, you can go on.
Okay.
Yeah, that slide. Thank you. We're going to discuss why do we have rules, the role of the president or the chair. We're going to talk about the order of the rules, the 2023-2024 new bylaw amendments, key things to remember, and then we'll go into questions and answers. Now, if you thought you were coming to hear a parliamentary procedure workshop, not going to happen tonight, and I wouldn't do it. That would be the parliamentarian. We're basically going to be going over the why we do it and the amendments so that we wouldn't be here for a very long period of time with eyes glazed over. Bylaws do that to people. So why do we have rules? Organizations put rules together so that you come together to come to consensus about how you're going to run your organization. What are the goals and objectives? What are the things that are important to the organization? How are you going to function so that everyone has a clear understanding and expectation of how the organization is going to be ran, and more importantly, the meetings are going to be ran. It's very crucial that we have rules so that the least voice will have the same opportunity as the most boisterous voice. Next slide, please. So the role of the president or the chair, this is very, very important. Some people get out in front of that in terms of the bylaws, but if you're speaking for the state DWCF, then you should not be. None of us should speak for the organization. We should never say we're talking for the organization. We shouldn't even say we're talking for our club unless we have a vote to do that. So if the president has not asked you to assume that position, you should always make sure that when you're talking outside of the organization, that you make sure everyone knows you're speaking on your own behalf. If you're the president of a club, you should only speak to issues that your board and your membership have agreed upon. You shouldn't have any outside conversations with folks about, and that's a part of their bylaws. And it's key that we at some point talk about parliamentary procedures, because this is what gets folks sticky in meetings when it's difficult to make sure that everyone has equal opportunity. So hopefully that will be a workshop that will be coming up very soon. Next slide, please. So when you're thinking about your documents that help you run your organization, run your meetings, we start with, and I put these sort of like from Robert's rules, so that's why it says corporate. So DWCF has a charter. That's our beginning. that incorporates all of whatever state laws or things like that that we need to address, as well as NFDW. And then we go from there to really delineating how we're going to run the organization, which is our state bylaws. That's what I'm addressing tonight, is your state bylaws. And I'm going to connect that to what it means for your club. And then we usually have rules of order, or we have our handbook. Usually we use the word rules of order here when we're at convention, and other times when we're trying to figure out how to implement something, we go to the handbook. And then of course we have that one that gets us in the most trouble, that we should use the least. And this is the way we've always done it. That is really not a good way to run a club. However, there are some circumstances where that might be applicable when it comes to maybe sending cards or recognitions. But even that, you probably want to have some discussion with your board and with your membership about how you do those customs that you may not have totally written down. It would be a good idea to write them. Next slide, please. So you can go to the DWCF.org website to find everything you need. And we should make a habit of just checking it out from time to time. I'll speak for the website folks, but you definitely go there to find the state bylaws, and the sample bylaws would be found within the handbook. And so let's talk about the amendments that we made at our convention in April of 2023. Got to get my own times together. The major thing that we made changes on for our bylaws this time around had to do with when dues are due. And the bottom line is the organization wants to make sure that we make our January payments based on the membership that we have in December, which means that some clubs may have to change practices that they've done in the past. Some people in the past may not have started collecting dues till January. So we want to encourage you to start talking about your dues right now. Start in October, trying to get folks to assess your dues and when they're due. Now, here's the thing that I'll say about the club bylaws. The only change is when we have a corporate change, a state level change, if your club did not make any other changes to the bylaw, then your only responsibility is to make the changes that are required by the state. There is no approval process because the convention made these changes. So you would make the changes, your bylaw, your secretary, whoever it is, make the changes, and then present it to your board and your membership so that they will know what the changes are. So our first change was made in Article 4 under clubs, and this is the Article C, which is about state dues. And you can see right there in bold where the date change is to January 31st. Next slide. The next change was under Article 5, Regional Councils, Section 9. Again, it's where you find it in your, wherever it is in your bylaws. This is where it is in the state. Many of you have different places that you put things. So you have to look and see where your bylaws talk about region dues and make the change that they must be paid by January 31st of each year. Next slide, please. In the state bylaw, Article 6, Officers, Nominations, Elections, Section 2. This is where we made the change to those who are wanting to run for office have to have paid their dues by January 31st. Now, you may change that to a little bit earlier if you do your nominations in November. So it's up to you as a club what you do with your club, but you do have to pay your state dues by January 31st if you want to run for state office. Next slide, please. And again, all about convention. We're trying to coordinate everything together so that we know who the members are, we know what the number of delegates will be. And so once again, everything needs to be paid by January 31st so that our committee can work on the credentials. Next slide, please. Those were the only changes. And if your club made a change, then your club would need to vote on the changes your club made. So if I go through and I note that there's a change in there, I will need to know that you voted on that change with your club. My process is only a review, and so I do help folks a lot. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any difficulty. So all of the date changes that were made because of our 2023 DWCF convention. And they were intended to help clubs collect dues in the last quarter so that we would be prepared to pay our state dues in January. I wanted to highlight that club presidents and parliamentarians should have a couple of things with them at every meeting. Number one, always have your bylaws, always. When the bylaws are silent, we use Robert's rules, so you want to make sure you have a Robert's Rules of Order, the most recent copy. You want to have an agenda, but if you look at the way we do our bylaws, you know you need to have an agenda for every meeting. Even committees really should have an agenda unless you've made a determination that this is going to be your way of operating and you have a finite thing that you're dealing with. Every club member should have a copy or at least access to the bylaws. And I say access because we have a lot of websites and digital things now. So if you have a website, you put it on your website, but we want to make sure that every club member knows where the bylaws is, and it would be a great thing to at some meeting review the bylaws when changes are made. All important and especially financial decisions must be based on your bylaws. No customs should ever be the leading decision maker for these important kinds of decisions. Next slide. So, in summary, we have rules because the organization has to come together and talk about how they're going to function. What are the ways they're going to do business? The role of the chair is crucial to running a meeting and representing the organization. We want to make sure that the rules of order are followed, that we have addressed the new bylaws in our documents, and don't forget to have your documents with you at every meeting. Thank you so much. Again, you can reach out to me at b3576@att.net. And if you don't hear from me within 2 days, send it to me again, because I was just saying I'm having some difficulty with my email deciding things should go to spam. But I usually try to respond within about 2 days. So if you don't hear from me, shoot me another email or send me a text. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk with you.
Well, thank you, Vivian and Jane, for such a great presentation. There's a lot of information here. Currently, there are no questions in the Q&A little icon down here. And
I'm sorry, Gwen, I can't access it.
Yeah,
I do have questions.
we have questions, but I don't know. It must be turned off, Jean.
okay, so some should be popping in because
Right.
I don't see
Nobody
any.
can. Yeah, I couldn't put one in either.
Uh-huh.
Just give us 1 minute.
Okay.
Oh, it says it's allow attendees to submit, and it's checked off. So I don't know why.
Okay. Well, can I put a question out there while we're waiting to get the Q&As imported? I do have a question for Vivian or Jane, Jane is the state chair of region chairs. And that would be, how can you encourage members to register on the DWCF.org website? I have so many members that are not familiar. They can get on and see general things, but the website has so many wonderful links to go to and open so much good information. Mary Forte-Namouche, you did a wonderful job with that website and changing it over. How do you encourage members to register? Because especially if they are board members, they won't be able to access our key documents that Vivian and also Jane talked about, like the bylaws or the
handbook.
the different reports that they have to do. So how have you encouraged members to register? Should we not maybe have some kind of PowerPoint, point of how to do that?
We could,
I'm sorry.
we've had sessions. And maybe we need to do another webinar to try to get more people on. So what you're saying is it's not a question of them not being able to try to sign up. It's a question that they're just not taking the initiative to sign up.
Exactly.
And that goes back to what I was saying before about trying to get our members a little more interested in all the things that we have to offer. I can try to put out a constant contact that encourages people to sign up. And we could try to put some hard copies together, but maybe we should be looking at another webinar to try to encourage. What do you think?
I share what our club does, and I think we've been pretty successful in getting people to do it. We meet first of all, we meet in the library. We have access to their digital. And so every now and then our membership person or our first VP will ask folks to take out their phone, and we do step by step as they watch us and have them sign up right in the meeting so that they're signed up directly to, we don't just say go to the website, we actually take them to the website and have them sign up.
Yeah, and you can even set it up on a computer and demonstrate it. It's so easy. That would be good. Thank you, Vivian. That's very good.
Great idea, Vivian. That's the perfect way to do it. Just pull out the phones.
Okay. Have we been able to? I still don't have questions available in my Q&A.
Gwen, it says no open questions in Q&A. It does allow me to go into chat. But are you saying that we
so I
can't
just
put a question
enabled chat. So if anybody has questions, they should put it in the chat.
Okay. Okay, well.
So right now attendees can chat with just the hosts and the panelists.
Okay.
So they should send
Francine,
it
you want to do
directly.
your question, and if anybody has any question, you can put it, any questions, you can put it in the chat. And this is for both presentations. So even the president's report or the bylaws, just type your question in the chat. And Francine, do you mind starting with your question?
Yes, I'd rather ask than type it. Vivian, you were talking about making sure that making sure that we have paid officers for the next year. How do you make sure that we, for instance, in Marion County, are starting our membership drive this month. We're at the end of this month, which is actually the end of the quarter anyway. So how can we encourage other clubs to make sure that when we nominate new officers going into the next year, that they are the paid members, for the next year, so that we don't get into any quagmires?
Well, this is why we're doing the webinar, so that everyone will understand that we've got to change some of our practices and start our membership drive earlier than we have in the past. And the nomination committee should have been selected by now. And according to the bylaws, most people should have a nominating committee. They should be ready to make a presentation at the October meeting. And therefore, when you're ready to vote in November, those people who have said they want to run for office should be the very first people to pay their membership. And that's the way I would encourage folks to do it. It is a new way of doing business, so we probably will still have to work with folks a little bit on that, but it would be so much easier if folks would start their process now and follow their bylaws. The bylaws, I think, have always said that you should have a nominating committee and you should have your vote in November. So really, folks should have always had their dues paid prior to running for office.
Okay, with the chat open, we finally have 2 questions. This is, I guess, a question for Jane from Deborah Baker Ryan. If you submit your president's report on the website, is it necessary to send to other people? The other people?
Yeah, so when you submit it online, it automatically goes to the president, the second vice president, myself, and to the archivist. So you don't have to worry about sending it to anyone. If you're hitting submit, it goes immediately. Like I said, I got a submission from the handbook. And if you do it that way, no, it does not go to all the above. You have to do it online to have that done for you.
Okay.
Jane, it also goes to the secretary.
I'm sorry, it does. It goes also to the secretary.
Okay. All right. And a question from Beverly Brown. Do you have a PowerPoint on President quarterly reporting process?
You mean outside of the one that we saw tonight?
I'm not sure, but I think we can just say that you're going to be, if they contact
If they want
you,
a PowerPoint presentation, yes, I can.
you will send them the PowerPoint
Mhm.
presentation.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Definitely.
Very good. All right. I don't have any more questions right now from the audience.
I do have something to add.
Okay.
When I was seeing that there were some folks that were sending in the Excel spreadsheet incorrectly, I did send to every president and every region chair the corrected way to fill out that Excel spreadsheet, so that they would have a appropriate example. And that, of course, I will share with Barbara Grimm.
Okay. I have a question for both Jane and Vivian, and that is, and also actually our president, Mary Fortena Mouche. We have at our Southeast Hillsborough Club probably about 10 new members that are new as of say this month. So they're really coming in at the end of this year. So they will have paid their $25 in dues. And is it really fair that we, can we count them into the next year as having paid for the next year?
That's one of those that club practices that the club needs to make a determination about.
Mhm.
Many clubs do say that if you come in at that last quarter, that you're paying for the next year.
Okay.
However, that is a club level decision.
Okay. Thank you. All right, and I think it would be good to re-emphasize that since this is being recorded, that members can access this on our YouTube. Can you talk to that?
Okay, so we're still working out the logistics of getting our stuff up on the YouTube channel. We have one, but of course, we have one, but there's a process we have to go through to get it uploaded. And the last 3 webinars are not up there yet. We have the recordings, but we're trying to work out the logistics to get it on our channel. So once we get through that process, but in the meantime, if you just send me a message, I will send you the direct link to the presentation, to the video, but it's not on the YouTube yet. It'll just run from a link.
Okay, so everybody should contact Jessica Ransom to get
yeah.
the,
Until I get
the
a chance to
webinar.
to finally get it.
all right.
We prefer people to use our YouTube channel, but like I said, we haven't ironed out all the logistics on that yet. So, but we do want people to have access to the resources. So, it's been a hold up, and for right now, I think that's a good fix, if that's all right with President Forte Namuj.
It is. I think we can
Yeah.
get this resolved very shortly.
Yeah. Okay.
All righty. And then if there are no more questions, I do want to make one comment though. I want to thank Vivian Light Johnson so much for her patience when we send her our bylaws. She is so patient and so good about, reviewing them and getting back to us. And I know it's hard. It's like pulling teeth sometime to get all of the copies from all of the different clubs. So thank you so much, Vivian, for being so, kind and instructive and, helpful, getting our bylaws in shape. Thank you.
So if you don't mind, I did remember my question. Because I was like, what was my question? Because it was a good question. So when you're doing the president's report, there's the option, there's the piece where you upload the newsletter, the information for the newsletter. And I think that process has changed, because it used to be that we had to put it on a Word document, with the pictures, and then your little brief description. And I think it's different now. So I do think we need some clarification around what the process is for submitting our information. Do you still want us to do it like that on the report, or is it, and my question is, what do we do?
I think you can do it both ways. You can submit it with your report, or you can submit it directly to the newsletter at dwcfnewsletter@gmail.com.
Because see, I've been having trouble, and I'm not complaining at all, but without stuff being on the newsletter, because I've been submitting it with the report.
Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, I think you do have to submit it directly to the DWCF newsletter, and that's how you'll get your information. And actually, there's a specific form that Kim has been putting out, and she mostly wants pictures, usually about 3, and then captions. Yeah.
So my point is that data is old then.
Mm-hmm.
Because the process has changed.
Well, I think it's for archiving.
Oh, so we need to do both.
Yes, you have. Yeah. So yes, when you do it on your report, it archives it.
We need to do both. Okay. Well, that explains it.
Well,
I also think I thought you do the newsletter through the website now under dwcf.org. That's not accurate. You actually send the Gmail?
I think you have to send it Gmail, because Kim, her address is different. I'd have to go in and look behind there. I don't know if it's been maintained. So
You know what? We need to have Kimberly
email it directly, and then I'll look into it. I was in Jot Forms today, so I'll go in and take a look.
mm-hmm.
All right.
That probably is a good webinar to talk about the newsletter.
Yeah, would it be helpful to have Kimberly clarify? Because I put all my pictures in on the Jot form online, and the pictures never appeared on the newsletter. And when I contacted her, she said, "Oh, I forgot. Either I forgot or I didn't know where it was." So I'm sure I wasn't the only club that was left out. So
No,
yeah,
you're not.
get that clarified.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying I think you need to email it directly.
Okay.
Well, I think we need to just clarify what the process is, so people know.
Right. Right. All right. Well, it's 7:48. So if there are any more questions, we'd like them to come in now. All right.
Okay. So as we wrap up, before I turn it back over to President Forte Namuj to close us out. Oh, Jean to do the survey. I just do want to say I really thank the training committee and our wonderful speakers for all their expertise and helping us clarify things and get through this process. This is information I think that all of us walked away today with something that we learned. So you think you know everything, you think you know the information, then you find out you don't quite know everything. So thanks to Jane, thanks to Francine, thanks to Vivian. And then now I'm gonna turn it over to Jean. She's gonna run the survey and then she'll turn it over to 14, Madam President.
Okay, everybody should be able to see the poll. And if you could just quickly, I'll give everybody a minute.
It doesn't let me post.
Because you're a panelist, you can't post.
Ah, good to know.
Yeah, we can't have you giving your
Stacking the deck.
Okay, I'm gonna close out the poll now. Thank you.
All right, Madam President.
So I hope everyone found value from this evening's training. The reporting system helps keep the state current. And it's very, very important. We extract a lot of information from the membership list and what is submitted. You'd be surprised how important this information is for us to do things, even simple things. And one of the things that I do want to talk about is keeping the email addresses for your organization up to date on the membership list that you submit to the state. What we're finding out is that there is about 1,000 incorrect email addresses that are being submitted on a quarterly basis because this information has not been updated. And so we are not able to reach over 1,000 of our members with constant contact or other communications because of this. I would really appreciate it if the presidents would mention this to their second VPs and the second VPs would take the initiative as people come in to meetings to just ask them to look at the membership list, and if their email is not correct, to correct it, but don't write it in doctor script. That would help. If it's really clear, we would be able to pick it up much easier, and then to make sure that that information is sent forward to the second VP, which is going to be Barbara Grimm. This would help us in so many ways. We'd have more people on our webinars. We'd be able to reach out to everybody. And I just want to throw in a little bit of information. If you are planning on attending the state board meeting for October 7th, registration is going to close in the next few days. Please sign up. I want to thank our presenters. They did a great job. I work with these women. They're hardworking, they're dedicated, they're smart. They're everything that we know we are as Democratic women. And I want to also thank the training committee. This team has worked hard. They're constantly giving us the best information every month and sometimes twice a month. So I just want to thank everybody for attending and for everybody helping us with this. Jessica, I'm turning it back.
Okay, and so the final thing I want to mention is our next webinar is October, and forgive me about the date, I think it's the 15th. I have to look at my calendar, but we will be repeating our Gen Z millennial workshop that we did in Orlando. And so we're really excited about this. You'll start seeing communications coming out in the next week or so. We want to be sure that we can have a full house because we want to support and we want to learn from this younger generation and work together. So this is going to be a big one, and we're going to look to all of y'all to help us promote it. So we're really excited about it. The October webinar, we're going to end the year with a bang. That's it. Good night. Thank you.